I got A&H drilling behind us. We're in Chilliwack, BC. It's a beautiful day. What we're doing today is we're drilling down about 220 feet. We're doing an irrigation well. It's a pretty cool video. If you want to see what actually happens or how they actually get the water out, this is how they do it. This is the only place to see it. Welcome to In the Trades, a new series from Tekamo HD. In this new series, we'll take you behind the scenes of different careers in the blue-collar world and highlight the amazing people and the work they do that keeps everything running. This series is proudly sponsored by Rent One and Fortis HD. If you're looking to get some great tools, Fortis HD has a full array of Mueller coops and Koken tools available. Scan the QR code or visit the link in the description for 10% off your first order of tools. Hey guys, Josh with Tekamo. I'm here in Chilliwack on a drill site, and this is John. John, introduce yourself.
I'm John McDonald, the owner of A&H Drilling. Today we're going to drill an irrigation well for a farmer here in Chilliwack. Basically unload, set up the rig, unload the trucks. Then we stuff a bunch of casing, so we have to load the rods in the casing. From there we'll add one pipe and a rod at a time and start drilling, and we're down to target depth. We just pull our rods and our bit out. It fits inside the pipe. But the screen goes to the bottom of the pipe, and then you hold it down with all your rods. Then you pull the pipe back to expose that screen in the material that we found. They'll catch samples in buckets, and we'll have our samples marked out. So we always know where you are. And if you do go buy something, you say, well, it's not that good, let's go look. You've got a sample there that you can always pull back to.
So typically for like a residential well, it's a 6-inch.
This is going to be an 8-inch. 6-inch well, you could probably pump 80 gallons a minute.
What do you get from the 8-inch?
You could pump 250. The only issue is when we do get down there into the aquifer where we want to be, we're going to be into some heaving sands. And when you shut the air off, what happens is the water rushes up the hole, or it carries the sand. If you come the static, then you can take the sand out of the hole and get down to the bottom where you can set a screen.
So with all the setup and stuff, how many guys run this?
A job like this, it's just a 2-man. By the time it's drilled, screened, developed, I'm going to say 2 full days.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I am the driller, and we're probably going to be drilling to 200 to 240 feet. Try and find some good water that doesn't have iron in it. And then the process, we obviously came in this morning with this big rig here, big support truck over there. We also have a pickup truck we attach to the back of our support truck. The reason why we have 2 rigs is because we have so much rod and casing and weight. We cannot load everything onto this truck. We have that truck over there that's got all the welders, the bin, our blocks of hoses, our casing, our rods, all our hammers. But now we're just in the process. He's going to pull the welder off first, place it over here. We'll get our hose off, get our bin out. We'll stand the rig up, get everything all set up, and then we're going to start stuffing the pipe and then start drilling 20 feet at a time. We run a downhole hammer, which is activated. It's pretty much called a dual rotary air hammer. So I can rotate my drill rod and my casing, and my hammer is activated by a big old compressor on the rig. I originally started as a helper 14 years ago. Takes a lot of practice and a lot of screw-ups once in a while, but you gotta learn. You gotta screw up, because that's how you learn.
Can it be pretty dangerous?
If you're not paying attention and if you're standing in the wrong spot at the wrong time, it can be very dangerous. We have our discharge hose that it hurts a lot when it hits you in the leg or somewhere, so that's our main thing, is we stay way away from our discharge hose. Now you can see he's already trying to make me work here. Okay. This is the discharge hose that everybody needs to stay away from. That's the one that hurts everybody.
Are they numbered?
Huh?
Are they numbered left and right?
No, not yet. Okay. Give ourselves a little bit of room. we're just putting the blocks under the rig to make sure it's all nice and sturdy and level, and just double check, make sure the pads are directly on the block, not half on or quarter off, because you don't want it sliding off. That's not fun. We run a 302 Trailblazer generator with a suitcase welder on the side. And we use the welder to weld each 20-foot piece of casing together. This is what the shoe is. You know, it's got buttons, weld it to the underside of the casing all the way around, and this is what also digs in the ground besides just the drill bit that we'll show you here in a little bit.
That protects the casing, right?
Yeah, because that's on the bottom, because if you just run just a casing, it's gonna turn into a big mushroom and you ain't getting anything out of the bottom. It's weird having to talk about your job until you're just doing it.
I know. That's all confusing, eh, when you gotta think.
I still think. Sometimes. So now we're just attaching the pins to the derrick so we can move it all nice and easy, freely. We had it in travel mode before. We're attaching the spout to the head so we can attach our discharge hose to the spout and then the casing to the bottom of the discharge spout. It's a new hose. We're gonna have to keep an eye on it for the first couple, well, all day, honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be rigid.
I got this, if you grab the clip. So right now he's changing the jaws, because the last hole we were on was a 6-inch. Now we're doing an 8-inch, but we start off with 12-inch surface casing to 17 feet, and then we'll change over to 8-inch. Right now he's just putting the 12-inch jaws, because we got 10-inch jaws in there. And then I get to take over the high ab. So watch out. This is the big 8-inch hammer. This is what we'll be using to drill down. On the end of that hammer is called an 8-inch bit, and it's activated by air. Now we got to stuff each piece of casing with a 20-foot rod and for as far as we think we need to go. So now we're done stuffing all our pipe. Now it's time to make some noise and make a mess. So we'll start out with our 12-inch surface casing, drill that down to about 17, 18 feet. And then we'll have to switch our jaws again from 12 to 8. Take our 8-inch hammer off, stuff it into our 8-inch casing, and weld them up, and away we go. So we'll get noisy here shortly. That's vegetable oil. It's got to be environmentally friendly. Lift it up if you can. Grab the 12-inch. Okay, now we're gonna hook up the 8-inch hammer to the drill head. This is thread dope, not the other stuff. Yeah, we'll use that one up till it's done and dump all that crap into there. Holy cow. Oh, now we gotta take our chain down, grab our 12-inch surface casing, slide that up so we can bolt it to the discharge spout. Yes, no?
Bring it up a
Oh, it should be okay there. As long as it's straight, right? Now we get the fire up the compressor to build some air so we can do some drilling. I'm sliding the hammer through the lower drive. Now I gotta lift the lower drive without busting the chains off up top of the spout, because that's what's holding everything up there. And then I can use this lower drive to grab the 12-inch casing. Now I gotta level everything off. You never want to drill a crooked hole. Always want to get the surface casing in the ground a little bit so that when I activate my air, it doesn't start blowing outside, around, make a big hole around the rig. Gotta keep your eyes on everything. Grab another 10 feet. My lower drive can only grab 10 feet at a time. I know it's just blowing. Water going here. Now we're done drilling the 12-inch surface casing. Pull out our hammer a little bit. I'm gonna unchuck from the 12-inch, lift it up, or grab it a little bit higher so I can bury it as far as I can into the ground to get as much surface sealed as we possibly can get. Now we're going to take this hammer off, we're going to take that 12-inch adapter off, take the 8-inch hammer, stuff it into an 8-inch piece of casing.
It's going to slide right out.
Feel it? Look at that. Always want a bucket to cover the hole. Never want to drop anything down there. It'd be a bad day. See? Something like that can happen. Always got to grease your stuff. Well, next we're gonna boss and helper bring it all up the pipe over. We just changed the jaws from 12-inch to 8-inch. We put the adapter on, so now we can slip our 8-inch casing into the discharge swivel. And then next we're gonna grab a piece of 8-inch with a hammer stuffed inside of it, hook that up to the top head. We'll pick that up. We're gonna weld a shoe onto the bottom, and then we start looking for good clean water, which is probably gonna be about 200 feet, so maybe today. First we have to measure everything because nothing is exactly 20 feet. And we're making 5-foot marks because we take our samples, we do a 5-foot sample.
Look, you're dirty already.
I know, I'm not supposed to get dirty.
Was that the adapter?
I don't know. Probably. I'll write all my stuff down so I know my lengths of all my casing. So that when I'm done, I know exactly how much casing I have in the hole to the inch. Now I've got to measure this is what we call our stick out. So I measure from the bottom of the shoe. Ah, fuck, that's still hot. Measure from the bottom of the shoe to the bottom of here. This is how much I can stick out the bottom of the casing while I'm drilling. And that's why we also measure each piece of pipe, because you can see some are 20-foot 0, some are 20-foot 1. Now each extra inch of casing takes away from my stick out. So if I've got all 20-foot 1s or 20-foot 2s, I go 200 feet, now my shoe is here. You always want your hammer outside of your casing. You always want to be able to poke out the bottom. "21 inches. I always write everything in my book. Always keep notes, because then I can go back and see what depth I hit certain things. This part we're gonna do next is always a fun part. It can be very dangerous too if you're not paying attention. So what happens if you're not paying attention, because I've already drilled down to got 18 feet open hole. Now I have to take this, slide everything through my lower drive without hooking the casing on my jaws, which if I do, then it takes the chains off the spout and everything drops. We don't want that. Because the only thing holding that casing right now is the 2 chains up top. And you always got to level everything off, or else you're going to drill a real crooked hole. Break the joint, grab another rod with a casing stuffed into it, lift it up, weld it together, and drill 20 feet. This is one of the most important things out here right now. If anything falls inside of there, we got to pull it out, bust the hammer apart, and hopefully we didn't jam it too much. We always go like that. casing off to make sure it's all nice and clean, so when we weld it, we're not having a bunch of porosity in a crappy weld, which if you have a crappy weld, it's gonna break eventually. Then we use these two things to put in between our 8-inch and our 12-inch to center this piece, makes it easier for lining up the casing. I know I'm high in the front of it. Oh, you can be like that. There we go. Now it's welding time. Each piece we bring up, it's just a pretty much cookie cutter repeat process. Drill 20 feet, grab a rod that's stuffed in the casing, pick it up, glue it together, and keep doing that until we find the decent water. If this was an area that I didn't know, we would be sampling pretty much from 40 feet to whenever we get to the good water, and that's why each piece of casing has a mark every 5 feet, because we do 5-foot samples because our screens are 5 feet long. But out here we have so many wells that we have done. We've got one right across the street that was 220 feet. It was logged at 500 gallons a minute, beautiful water. So that's pretty much, we already have a good idea of how deep we're gonna go today. If I didn't know, we'd say, like I said, sample right away, but this one, we're probably gonna start sampling around 140 feet. So I like to have lots of sample just in case it's a little different, because out in the valley here, you can move 20 feet and it'd be totally different. Certain spots. Out here, not so much, but certain areas, it makes a difference. And you really gotta pay attention, keep log of your samples, see how much water you're pumping into the hole as you're drilling, because sometimes you're looking for a gallon a minute in certain areas. And if you pump too much water, you're gonna go right past that, and now you're going deep, you're gonna have an unhappy customer because you went past the zone that had some water in it. So, always gotta pay attention. So right now we just added our second piece of casing, welded everything together. Now we're gonna set up and drill to 40 feet, which is a repeat process of what we did before. We drill down, pull our spout off, break our rods, add another rod with a casing, pick that up, weld it together, carry on, and it's like a 3-4 step process, and it's repeat all the time. Right now, well, the casing is 160 feet, but we go from ground, so technically we're 155. Okay, so right there we got some water coming out. It's probably going to be full of iron, but we're going to check it anyways, just so we know. We don't want to go deeper than we have. This is just the iron sample kit we use to check the iron, and you don't want water colored like that. Okay. How is that? Is it settled out any, or?
Not, yeah.
That's clear. I'll get check this stuff first. I don't know the terminology or the correct name for it, but we add this to water, and it tells us how high the iron is in the water. Just call them iron tablets. Yeah, it's got some iron in it. I haven't even shaken it, and it's already showing like probably 10 plus parts per million for iron. When it goes the color of the rig, it's not good. Right there, that's a bad color. Probably see it better like that. That's not good, that's full of iron. Right here, each one has a number on it. What we try and do we're about, they match. A little high. This tube shows 5 parts per million of iron, and this one is the water that we just collected from the sample out of the cyclone. And as you can see, they're both pretty similar in color. So to me, I would say that there's 5 parts per million of iron in this zone that we're at, which we're looking for 0 parts per million of iron. Hopefully. We keep going. Now we're in the sand. Sand gravel.
Now we're pretty much just sand. Very little water and very little gravel. Opposed to that, right? It's good sand though, it's medium, coarse.
I love it. I love my job. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't be out in the crappy weather every day. Not that it's crappy weather, it's just, you know, I'm kind of my own boss. I get to be out in the field. I enjoy the outdoors. Me and my helper get along real well, and having a good job, enjoying your job, makes the day go by so much faster. You know, we work efficient. We don't work hard. We have to, but we're efficient enough. We don't break a sweat unless it's really hot out, or you really got a lot of stuff to do. Other than that, I really enjoy it.
We'll set it inside here even.
Yeah, maybe.
On that corner.
So see how it's all dirty? We gotta let the dirty stuff settle out so we can test the water properly to see how much iron's in there. We'll let that settle out. We'll weld up another one, go another 20 feet, and hopefully I'll be settled out enough to test it.
We'll dump those samples. You guys can look after we're done this. We'll dump them.
Are there different depths?
Yeah, every 5 feet. So it doesn't really look like a lot of change, but sometimes it's a big difference. This is fairly consistent. That's 155, 160, 160, 165, 165, 170, 175, 180. So they're 5 feet each. So we'll do the same thing again. It might stay the same, but we don't know unless we check. It cleans up. There's not a lot of fines, right? Like a flour type stuff. There's not any of that.
That's way more clear than before. I'm hoping it's about a 1 part per million, hopefully. The 0 would be the best. Right now, it's like 0. What we're looking for. Chris,
Oh,
that was in there.
oh, so that's good.
So that's up. Usually what I find when we're doing iron tests on water, see how I call this a little bit of turbidity. It's not perfectly clear, but it's still clearer. If it has lots of turbidity in it, it's gonna show the iron way higher than it actually is. The clearer the sample of water, the more accurate it's gonna show you the amount of iron that's actually in the water. One thing, you see I put that over top of it. It's stuff on your fingers, your thumb, anything could change the test a little bit. So you see how that's showing a little bit, but that last sample was way cleaner. Well, the turbidity is screwing with the iron a little bit. Right now, see it about a 1, but I know with the color of the water, it's not gonna be that. It's gonna come out better. All right, are we ready? Right now we're at 195. We're gonna take this to 215. See what we get. Not bad.
Really? Real fine. This is where that clay is. Look at that. That is f***ing weird. I'm taking that home. Look at that.
Kind of like crappy. Really fine. That's this one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, then that's the bottom.
This is the bottom?
Yeah.
If we gotta pull back, and we pull back to whatever, but this will give me a better idea of.
Yeah, I think this is the best one.
Yeah. Let's try not to mix them up. Let's let them
Yeah.
settle out. So when I make a ball like this, you can see this sand is really nice. That blows apart in my hand. That tells me there's not that much binder or silt. Now, if I check some of this stuff, make a bit of a ball with it. Didn't do anything, did it? That should blow apart in my head if it was really nice stuff, like that stuff over there. So that just tells you there's more silt in this stuff than there is in there.
You see, that's still a little bit of fines. Whereas this is perfect, right? That's really, if you had no choice, maybe that, but some places you don't have an option, right? We got options at least.
When it sticks to your hand, it's not good. Right now, I'm filling the hole full of my water from my truck.
While Jordan is filling the case with water, I'm going to quickly explain why he's doing it and what heaving is. For me to better explain what's happening, let's go to the board. In this situation, the extra water being put into the casing raises the water level above the current water table. This makes the flow of the water want to exit the casing rather than enter, reducing the chances of the sand and silt at the bottom would flow in as Jordan is pulling out the rods. If the sand and silt get into the casing, it would create a plug, causing Jordan issues getting the screen to depth. Now back to Jordan.
Okay, drop your cyclone, kill that truck, start packing up all this. I'm gonna try and see where it is. So right now we have I filled my hole, pulled my rods, and now the water is not coming out as I'm lifting the rod. So that tells me I have a 28-foot heave inside the casing. That's a guess, by the way. I'm hoping. Now, to avoid it from heaving more, I still fill the hole as I'm pulling the rods. Because if I let that water go below static water in the ground, it's going to push the sand back upside even higher than it already is. About as much fun as watching paint dry some days. Just to find out how much of a heave we have. I'm gonna say
17 feet.
that's gooey. That's not the number I want to see. Right now, it's showing me I've got a 34-foot plug. So it's heaved up 34 feet. But we have a lot of fine sand in suspension in the water. So it's all gonna settle out overnight, and then tomorrow morning it's probably gonna be even higher. That's it for today. Tonight's kind of a go home and think about what we're gonna do, because the material did not last as long as we liked it. So we're probably gonna have to pull back 30 or 40 feet. So either to 205 or 195. If everything works, the plug should fall out the bottom and I should just be able to set a screen. But does that ever work? One out of 1,000 times probably. That would be nice, but we'll see. See what happens. So I will come prepared for not the worst, but just a hard day's work. It is what it is. See you tomorrow. We're back. Yeah, we're just trying to, yesterday we drilled to 235 feet. We hit some decent material. We're gonna end up pulling back all the casing to 205. That's about the best spot with the best material, the lowest in the iron that I was seeing from all our tests yesterday. Now, because we're in sand, what sand likes to do, because static around here is about 10 feet from below our feet, it loves to heave up inside the casing. So now we're just trying to find out how much I have to bail out to get to the bottom of my casing.
Oh, it's gooey.
It is gooey for sure. A 30-foot plug-ish.
176.8.
That's not bad. I got about 30 to 40 feet of sand inside the casing right now. We get to bail all that out here shortly. That'll take a couple hours. Always got to be filling the hole full of water as I'm bailing, because I never want the water level in the casing to go lower than static. If that happens, what I'm doing is useless. It'll heave back up inside the casing. So see how that, I'm able to pull that out? I know I'm sitting on the bottom. Right there. That's right. That's all the stuff we gotta suck out of the bottom of the hole so I can get right to the bottom. And how this thing works is that log piston up there collapses down all the way like that. So when I get this to the bottom, everything closes, and then I'll lift it up, which sucks all the sand up inside of this. And then this is the bottom. So when I go push everything down, it opens it up until I lift it all the way up. Then this locks all the material inside of the baler. You get wet.
If you don't have enough water, you need a fair bit of
I can tell this stuff is super fine. That's why we're not gonna set the screen in this. We're gonna pull back into some nicer material. By my marks, I can already tell I've pulled about 10 feet of material out of that already. Slow process, but it works.
Whoa.
That was close. I'm gonna do one more bale, then I'm gonna throw the tape measure down because my marks are pretty accurate, but I still like to put a tape measure down to find out exactly where we are. Dewey, right there.
That's
No.
that's-
Let her go, let her go.
We're at 205, aren't we?
Yep.
That's why it wouldn't go. Beauty. Just let it settle.
Yeah. Surprisingly, we got her down to the bottom of the casing fairly fast. So now, if you guys were to look at the water in the hole, it is really dirty, so it is full of silt, and which all that stuff is in suspension right now, so we're just gonna let it sit for 20 minutes, let everything fall down to the bottom, run back in, bail those little 10 feet out maybe, all depends. Maybe let it sit again, let all those fines get to the bottom, because if I were to grab my screen and push it all the way to the bottom, even though my tape measure says I'm open, but I've got all that stuff in suspension, I'm gonna push the screen all the way to the bottom, and I'm gonna push all that sand all the way down there, and it's gonna give me a plug. So this is just take your time, you do nice and easy job, you go nice and slow, and it should, fingers crossed, work out in the end. So now it's break time.
While Jordan and his team are taking a break, let me introduce you to the Koken sockets and the Mueller Coops air hammer. You can get all this at FortisHD.com, and we have the full line of Koken and the full line of Mueller Coops available. Now back to drilling.
Well, this one right here is a 150 slot, so it's 150 thousandths of an inch in between each rib. This one is a 60 slot.
I'll now grab a finer one.
And he'll grab a finer, a 12 slot, so not very often we get to use these ones. This is 150, this is a 60 slot, this is the 12 slot. This is what we're gonna be using in this hole we're doing right here. But you can see the difference. You can see through it, barely see through that one. And then we got this here. This is what we call this is a riser, and this is the K-packer. So you can see it's got 3 ribs. So these 3 rubber ribs are a little bit bigger than the ID, which is the internal dimensions of the 8-inch casing. So what this stuff does is it makes, when we put the screen into the ground, instead of everything coming up in between here, these force all the material to come through this. So this will sit like that. Then we screw all that together, shove her down the hole, and develop for a few hours. It's crucial to get all that material out of the casing, because if I end up getting a plug and I can't push that out the bottom, yeah, we gotta pull the screen, bail the hole, and I don't want to do that. That's why we take our time, do it right, do a good job. May take a little longer than normal, but it works, and you're not fighting everything. Yeah, it's a hurry up and wait game right now. So developing the well is, there's 2 ways you can do it. I only know the way we do it with an air rotary. I haven't learned a cable tool, but with an air rotary right here, this is a developing tool. It's got a bunch of holes in it all over the place. So that would be the first one. We when I'm going to push the screen down there, we set the screen in there, and then I push it down there with the developing tool and then rods after that. So when I'm developing, my goal is to get all the fines out, because that's why we took all our samples back yesterday. Picked the screen. We have a ratio about, you want to hold back 40% of the material, but you want to let through 60% of the material through the screen. That gets rid of all the fines, which can bind up and stop the water from flowing nicely. So we try and pick the right one. Sometimes we'll dry them out, sieve them properly, weigh them, all that kind of stuff, and that'll give us the exact screen. Out here, we didn't really have to do that. We kind of rub it on there and pick them ourselves. So, but yeah, development just gets rid of all the fines and keeps the nice coarse stuff. For us, if something happens to a screen, we'll try and go in and redevelop it, but 90% of the time we'll just drill another hole.
Okay.
Or pull the screen. Depending, if it's a hole that we drilled within 10 years, we might try and advance it deeper or pull the screen and see it. But if it's 10 years older of ours, we don't really touch it. And then other people's stuff, we don't touch their stuff, because you don't know how their welds are, you don't know what the casing's like, all that kind of jazz. I can hook up to it and go pop and break everything apart. Now I just screwed everything up. If we do a rock hole, we usually line every single one, so the pump goes inside the liner, so if anything caves, you can still pull your pump out, you can still pull your liner out. Well, the guys that choose not to do that, now you're pretty much hoping, you're almost wasting the money, the cost of the well and the pump. Because I would drill it, if I drilled a hole, I would put a liner in it, because now you're pretty much making it bulletproof. Or if you just put a pump down there, if it caves, you can't pull your pump out, you can't do anything. You might be able to drill it out, but it's probably gonna break a lot of stuff. So it's, if that kind of happens, then you just move over 20 feet and drill another freaking hole. You're risking the whole price of the well and the pump by not putting liner in it. It's not a cheap thing, but like we were talking yesterday, water is the most important thing on the world right now. You can't do anything without water. It helps things grow and just helps everything. Get back to work. Lift it up a little.
The whole rest of it went together nice.
There it goes. There it is. Beautiful. And then we tack weld. We put a little tack, 2 to 3 tacks depending on each joint. So here in the middle and down at the bottom, just so it doesn't vibrate itself apart. We've almost had that happen. I measured the length of the screen, which is to here, and then I do the total. So when I push this to the bottom and I grab the casing to expose it, I bring the bottom of the casing right to here, because you want to expose the whole screen to the ground, and that lets as much water in as possible. 10-7, 12-6. We're running out. And it went just like I thought it would. What we're trying to do right now is get the screen to the bottom as fast as we possibly can. And it buggered off.
Right away, eh?
Right away.
Pretty dirty in there.
Not a fan of that, but shit out of scared the crap out of me a little bit.
I think it fell in the screen, or? Do you think it's at the bottom?
Well, it's like a 20-foot plug, dude.
All that silt.
All that effort and I still got a plug. Oh, I had a dumb feeling that was gonna happen. There's all this bench, it just would not settle.
And then there's the camera magic, eh? Bring the camera and we get the worst.
Oh yeah. I got a bit of a plug, so now I'm gonna run everything down there, push the screen out, or get it to the bottom of the casing, then expose the screen. If it all works. Oh, I hope it works. Yeah, so I should be 6'9" from there to here. Yep. This is where, if you're not, your calculations, all your measurements are out, this is where you're gonna find it. Okay. So that's at 6'9". I have to mark on the rod 3 feet.
So I think ideally the casing's gonna stop here. And then he's gonna pull up on that Kelly. There'll be another mark and that will expose that screen. So he'll pull that more pipe.
It should be right, I hope.
You go down real slow, and of course the sand heaved up in there, so he's gonna find out how much sand heaved up in there. And he's grabbing the casing there so that it doesn't go with it.
I get this down, we're gonna run the tape measure again, because I have a feeling we got some shit inside the fucking screen, and to make sure that I'm not on top, pushing it out the bottom. We do that. That's why I just slow float. It seems to be working. Yeah, we'll hook that one up, run the tape measure there. She's slowing down a bit. Aha! That's the top of the screen. Or not. That was the top of the screen. Tape it. It might actually be where we need it. 198 should be the top of the screen if it's at the bottom. There we go. 188.4 or 2. I've got about 1 foot 2 inches in the bottom. You guys are making me think too much. Ah.
Yeah, it's super soft, eh? Like, I was thinking, oh, it's getting harder. It's not.
Stressing me out.
If anything, it's got another inch of shit in there, like settling.
That's the bottom, which is, that means I've got, what's it, 188, right? Oh, this one's a thinker. Top of the screen is 188.2. The screen is 12 feet, so that should take me to 200 feet, 6 inches. Well, screen's 4 inches, sorry. Yeah, it is settling.
Yeah.
Doing this a little different. Beautiful.
Just enough.
So So that mark I just put up to the top is where I have to pull the casing to here, which exposes the screen to the ground. Hopefully.
Let me explain to you why Jordan is worried. Right now, Jordan has a plug of sand and silt between the screen and bottom of the casing that he's trying to clear. If his calculations are wrong, when he is pulling the casing, he may accidentally push the screen out the bottom. And to make matters worse, there is some debris inside the screen affecting his measurement readings. Now, back to Jordan.
I think in here pretty quick, it's gonna harden up, and that's gonna be the around spot, right? Okay. Let's see here, where are we at?
Might not even stop, eh? That goo could just be...
Oh, right there, just. That tells me, right there, look, I've got 2 feet of at the bottom of the screen. Because that's 200.
Yeah.
That's not. I've got to get that there. Pull it out. So right now, I have a clog of sand in the bottom of the casing. So I've got my rod is sitting on the bottom of the screen. I've just locked onto the casing. Now I'm gonna pull up a little bit and then screw it back down to try and push that plug out the bottom of the casing. Hopefully it works. Come on.
You can see he's up around 2,000 pulling pressure. That's a lot of pull. You can see the stand, the pads even, eh? It's trying to pull the rig down. That's crazy. Might have just let go.
Before I get too carried away, if I've got a plug in the screen, I only pull, that means I'm 2 feet lower on my marks.
Yeah.
No, I'm 2 feet higher on my marks.
Yeah, you're 2 feet higher, you can't get 2 feet lower.
Technically, I'm almost at the bottom.
That makes more sense.
Close. There we go. I know the screen's out. The screen is out the bottom now. In the hole, you guys seen, I had the tape measure down the hole while I was trying to pull. So, because we're in such fine material, what I noticed is some sand had got in the screen and had a 2-foot plug in the bottom of the screen. And if I didn't catch that, I would have pushed the screen right out the bottom of the casing and I'd have to redo everything all over again. So that's why you take your time. If you think something's wrong, you stop, you double check, triple check your measurements, check your hole, check where everything is. When I said there we go, I could notice that I had got the screen just outside the bottom of the casing because you could see everything loosened up, pulled way easier. So that means I'd pushed the plug out of the bottom of the casing. Now we just exposed the screen. I have a mark up top, but I'm not gonna pull to that mark because I know I have material in the bottom of my screen. If I pull too much, then I kind of screwed up. So now we've got the screen fully exposed. So now we're gonna measure up, cut the casing, pull that piece of casing off, add our spout, and if everything goes good, we should be developing here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. ones that happen. Okay, look at that. Really? Oh yeah, right, just because the camera's here, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. Not nice and smooth like every other fuck. There we go. Alright, we ready? Right now we're just pulling the rods out of the hole because we're done developing. So we got to pull all these rods out. We leave our last one attached to the head so we can hold the 8-inch well as we pull the 12-inch surface casing. And as we pull it, we're going to fill the annulus with bentonite chips. Now we're done drilling the 8-inch. We need to change the jaws from 8 to 12 so we can pull the 12-inch out. Then we're out of here. Now we gotta bring all our bentonite bags, stick them up over there, and our helper gets to go up and put bentonite chips in while we're pulling it out.
Start with 5 and
At least. You want that?
yeah.
Don't drop it. We had just put all the bentonite to fill the annulus space in between the 8-inch and the 12-inch, so any contaminants on the surface will not follow the casing down and contaminate the water that he will be using either for his house or his feet. Just like I wanted So before we do our little test here, we'll find out where static is from the top of casing. Nine feet 8 inches from here. Well, now I get that measurement. I mark that in my book. And then what I do is we're gonna put this 2-inch pump in here, pump water out. So my 9'8", where the pump will measure how much water is coming out into a bucket, time it for a minute long, see how many gallons it's doing. And then we check where it drew the water down to. I gotta prime the pump or else we're just sitting here doing nothing. You gotta burn the pump out. Let it rip. Come on. We time how long it takes to fill it up, and those are the calculations that we make to find out how much this one will actually do, and it's pretty good. When we're pulling out, you might get a little bit of sand just from the rods or our tools and stuff. So this way we know we're gonna clean it all out, let it run for a good half an hour. Make sure nothing's in there. So it's still ballpark-ish, 25, so 15 feet of drawdown. One last time, because usually what I find as you drop it is the more you develop, it'll actually drop the iron content a bit. Nice and clear. Remember what color it was before? Had a little bit of tinge.
If there's anything.
That's like barely anything. I'm gonna say like nil.
Yeah.
See, like this is 0.5. You can see the color in that. You can't see anything in there. Beautiful. Tastes good. We just got to disinfect the wells. Last thing we do a little bit of chlorine.
Oh, cool.
This stuff's a little different. Now, just dump her in there. Try and get all the walls of the casing. Beautiful. Now, very last thing, tack this on there so nobody can throw stuff down there and wreck everything that we just did. You don't need to go over crazy with it because they're just going to knock that off, drop a pump in it, and put a proper well cap seal on there.
We drilled an irrigation well for the farmer, 200 feet deep. We've drilled it, screened it, developed it. It's ready to put a pump in now. We're at A&H Drilling, and this is how we drill a well from start to finish.